Hi and good morning. It's Paula from On a String and welcome to my Easter Facebook Live session featuring Easter pastel colours. The session today is being supported by Lynda from Banjo's Bead House. So thanks Lynda for supplying the beads today. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the surprise package of beads are here. So here's a bit of a look at what we're going to unbox and open today and see what the surprise package of beads actually are. Lynda has some sets of these available at her website as well. So if you're keen to see these and get involved, by all means, go and check those out at Banjo's Bead House. So let's get into it. Let's flip the camera over and see what's actually involved in unboxing these beads. So, good morning. Lynda's joined us. Shelley's joined us. Thanks everybody for coming along. Let's unbox these Easter pastel beads. So maybe, oh no, she's sold out of these kits. Well, that's fantastic. Great news. I'm glad to hear other people have got on board and got involved with this. So Lynda has packaged these beautifully with the little design on the fly statement and logo. So thanks, Lynda. And they're in a little purple bag. So let's see what's involved in Easter pastels. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, this is good fun. Oh, look at this. An Easter egg cabochon. So this one's actually Easter eggs. Look at that. Fantastic. So there's a great central focal, an Easter cabochon. Okay. Oh, and here's another one. This one's Easter pastels as well. So this one's got like that Moroccan tile sort of pattern in it. And it's one of the glass cabs that have the paper back. And I really love using these as features in pieces. So there's another really great piece there. And Lynda's just made a note that the contents, oh, look at that, how organised, are listed on the back. So I'm not going to read that yet. I'll sneak in and have a look at that. Okay. Oh my goodness, some Easter bunnies. Little tiny Easter bunnies. Look at these. Cute as cute. I do have some little granddaughters that will like some little Easter bunny pieces, so I'm looking forward to using those. A couple of white 12mm Rivolis, so really good sparkle that goes so well with these cabs. When you look at the colours of these together, they work really well together. Oh, and there's some 14mm there as well, so pairs. Look at this one here, some more pink ones too. So some 10mm, and there's 3 pairs there of pinks and purples and blues. Again, the theming of the colours with this is just beautiful. I mean, I'm already seeing these go together really well. Then, oh, Lynda, this one. Look at this pink crystal flower. Wow, that is absolutely stunning. Look at the sparkle that's on that. Oh, I love that piece. I'll have to think about how to, oh, there's some little holes in the back there, so I might be able to do some sort of attachment somehow, get a needle in there, I think. Yeah, I should be able to. That is my favourite. That is beautiful. What else have we got? We've got some ovals as well. Wow, for those of you that got these kits, you got some absolute sparkling stunners in this, and I'd love to see what other people make with them as well. So some ovals, some 10x14mm ovals. Oh, look at this, some 6mm beads. So this is actually called the Pastel Rainbow Mix. So again, you know, all the pastel colours in there in a 6mm. Fabulous bead for stringing, for using within bead embroidery. So I'm looking forward to see those used, particularly with the Easter bunny ears. What else have we got? Oh, some little stars as well. So they'll go well with the little Easter bunny piece. Particularly, you've got to make, you know, pieces for kids. These are ideal, and get kids to make them as well. And some lovely pastel pairs in the same colours as the rounds. So other people in other boxes have got different colours. So I'm looking forward to seeing what other people actually have. And I picked the pink one. Okay, so let's put the workboard underneath and have a look and see what we're actually going to make. So I'm using today one of my new bead station boards here. So I'm using a standard board here in yellow with my open grids on it, which gives me spaces to actually put the beads as I want to use them. Now I'll definitely use today, absolutely that pink flower is going to get a bit of a highlight. I think that this Moroccan themed piece will as well. Definitely the little bunny ears over here. And then the different rivolis in different formats. So whites, I think the whites look really good together, just as, you know, a pair of earrings straight up with those. So I like the idea of the two white pieces together. I think stringing some of these 6mm with the Easter bunnies is probably a really great look for them, along with some stars. And then using some of these other crystals here with the Moroccan piece and with the flower. Okay. What am I going to start with? I think I want to start with the flower, and how am I going to actually do something with that? I love the idea of trying to attach that somehow with those holes that are there. So let me just get a needle and see whether I can pop a needle through there. Nope, that won't work. Oh yeah, look, there it goes through. Okay, so that means I can attach it somehow. So it's always a matter of sort of looking for what is the way that I'm going to secure this, you know, feature piece. And there's a couple of little sections that I'll be able to stitch that onto something. I feel like this could be, you know, the central focal, and then potentially, well, Lynda, you're really challenging me. What am I going to use? Some of these will go, you know, you could do around ovals as well. Let's pop them out too. Although they're so beautiful together, look at the colors in those. You know, these really need to go together. The purple like that, pink and pink, aqua and aqua. The colours of those look really, really good. You have absolutely challenged me, Lynda, with this. Absolutely. And then there's some more. Like, I mean, these to me are an absolute, they're a drop earring straight up. When I look at those colours together, I love the idea of making those straight into drop earrings. So I think that's what I will do with these. I'll at least do one set. I won't do all three, but they make a beautiful drop earring with the three components together. So I'm going to put those aside for the moment. The flower, I really want to use the flower. The flower, I'm not sure that it goes with the cab. I think it's a too big a piece to actually go together. So I just want to think about that. But realistically, I could put some white drops with this as well. Some white rivolis. And I love these rivolis that have got this painted back on them too, because sometimes you might want to actually use that as the feature. And I've done that on a couple of projects where I've actually featured the back part of this and not the front part, because I want to actually see that matte. Oh, good morning, Alex. Alex is wearing pastel pink today for our theme. Good job. Pastel pink and blue. I've actually got a bit of pink on today as well. Okay, let's have a bit of a look at these. All right, what I think I might grab out first will be something to stitch that flower piece onto. So I think a piece of white stiff stuff is the first thing that I actually need here. Where is that? Down the bottom here somewhere. Sorry, I've just got to grab it out of my box of things. All right, little piece of white stiff stuff. So stiff stuff is the foundation fabric that we use for bead embroidery, and I'm just going to piece just a square to start with. I don't really know how big this piece may or may not end up being, so let's just cut out a piece of that to start. Okay. And I love the idea of mounting this crystal somehow and then potentially putting, you know, some sort of drop type thing underneath it like that. Yeah, I think that's probably what will work. All right, so I'll just move those out of the way. So I might actually just pop a little bit of glue on there first as well, just so that a double-sided pendant and a star. Oh, that's a good idea, Angie. Look, Angie's come up with a good idea. Oh, Angie, I like that idea. So if I cut that into a round, then I could stick, good thinking. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just glue a little tiny bit of glue on that first, just to sort of hold it in place. But great idea, Angie, to make this a double-sided with the cab. I think that's what I will do. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue. I didn't put any glue in the center because I want to try and utilize that, little tiny holes that are there. But just to sort of hold that in place, just a little bit of glue on that piece. Now I'm going to use some crystal fire line for this because it is a white base piece. And I've just got a needle here. So my needle is, as always, I always start with the biggest needle I possibly can. So I've got a nice size 10 needle here. I may actually have to go smaller though because they're pretty tight little corners to get into, but I'll try my best to get in and see what that actually looks like. Double-sided. Good thinking, Angie. And then definitely some of those drop earrings with the pinks and the crystals in there. So these must be a newish sort of range that Lynda's got with the white lacquer there. They've got a lacquer back on them. I think that's what they're called. So there's some pears, ovals and rounds there. And then of course the 14mm Rivolis in the white and a 12 in the white as well. Okay, now I just want to try and secure this piece somehow with a couple of those little holes. So I'm just poking my needle in. Yep, I've got it through there. Careful not to poke myself as well. And I'm just going to come back up. There's a really fine metallic sort of bridge piece there that I should be able to just do a couple of stitches over just to hold that in place, but there it is. I'm not worrying about the tail thread just at the minute. I can remove that at a later stage. So I just really want to try and secure that down in a couple of spots. And then think about what the fill-in part. So if I want to try and get that to the same circle shape as the cab, I should probably draw the circle on and cut that out so I know exactly. And then I really want to just fill in those parts of the flower that are there. And the flower, they're all navette shapes, that sort of diamond shape that's there. So I've managed to get sort of 4 or 5 little threads in just to help secure. So you can see now that's starting to sit there. Oh, they're exclusive to this box, these particular colours, Lynda has said. Well, if you were lucky enough to get the box, then you definitely got them. But Lynda might be putting some new ones in her range, potentially, if people like these gorgeous pastel coloured rivolis and pears and ovals and rounds, and they're gorgeous, gorgeous colours. Oh, I love this challenge, Lynda. You certainly have made me think what I'm going to do. Okay, so my flower now, I've managed to get, half a dozen little stitches in there to hold that in place. Let me just do a bit of a check though around that circle. Oh yeah, can you see the shadow of the circle just there? So at least I've got a bit of a guide. I'm going to just grab my scissors. I'm going to hold that in place and I'm just going to cut that. Be careful not to cut the thread. Just going to cut that roughly to that circular shape. So I'm sort of just holding it still with my thumb there and using the shadow of the circle to cut that. And then once we've, beaded and decorated on the flower part, I will then be able, oh yeah, I did manage to cut the thread off. Good job, Paula. And see there, and if I hold it that way, you can see that extra edge. I'm just going to trim that away. So I've got the nice circle shape there, and I know where I'm going to do some fill-in beading. So the beading will be on the stiff stuff here, and these are little corners and pockets, and then it will back onto this piece here, and then I'll do some sort of edge to join those two together. Don't know what that'll be yet, but I'll work that out. Okay, let's go back to my thread that I did manage to cut off, but I will pop that in. Okay, so filling in with bead embroidery. I think there's you know, certainly some fringing and definitely an outline that you could do around each of the petals. So I think I might do the outline part first. And I'm going to do gold with this. And the colour gold I want to use is, where are they? I need to find them. I love this new matte gold colour. It's called Aztec Gold. It's a Miyuki bead. This is probably one of my favourite beads to use in at the moment. And they're a really gorgeous matte sort of colour. I'll just hold them up so you can see them there. These are the size 11s in that colour, and they've got that Aztec gold, so they've got a check coating on them. And I believe Lynda has these in stock if you're interested in these beads as well. I'm just going to pop one bead in to start with because they're a size 11 and they come in 11s and 8s. I don't believe that they come in 15s, which that'd be lovely if the check manufacturers are listening to me. I doubt that they are, but that'd be lovely if they came in 15s as well. So I'm just going to pop that in place, and I really just want to make sure that I'm probably going to be just adding 1 or 2 beads at a time in this, because it's a pretty tight little spot that we're working in. Now that one has flipped. Yeah, I need it to go that way. So I want the hole to be pointing towards the outside. So I'm just going to bring my needle up through that bead. Now remember, I haven't stitched down any ends or anything with this flower. I might have to do a bit more gluing if it feels like it needs it. It probably will, but let's just get a couple of beads in place first. So I'm just going to do a really tiny bead embroidery back stitch edge here around this flower. Gorgeous, gorgeous piece. So if there's anyone who's on today who got one of these boxes or these packs from Lynda, let me know. I'd love to see what flower shape or colour you got in yours as well. Lynda, were they all the same? Oh, and look, Lynda is onto the check suppliers to make us some 15s in this colourway. It also comes in a beautiful bronze colour as well, like a light copper and a dark sort of bronze, and there's a matte silver too. So these beads have been on pretty high rotation for me of late in most of my projects. I really enjoy working with these matte beads. Now when you're doing bead embroidery, you can pick up, you know, 2 to 3 to 4 beads at any time. Now that I've sort of gotten out of that little tight pocket there, I can start to sort of go to, you know, 3 and 4 beads, and then what I do is just come back through to the previous set of beads added and just pick up one of those to join them in a row like that. So you can see now how that started to form that edge just around the piece. Okay, I'm just going to pop 2 then to go around the peak of the corner of the flower like that. And I think, did I just catch my thread there? Yep. Okay, I'll come back up again. Now, I really want to have a nice point or peak over that flower. So I'm just going to pop an extra bead in there at that point. So there is a nice point there. You can see how that's just created a really sharp point on the edge of that flower. Ah, good morning, Juliana. You got a green flower. Have you actually used yours yet? hopefully you get some inspiration out of this pack today. Thanks Angie for coming up with the suggestion of double-sided. I love that idea. Okay, there's a little tiny tail thread there. I'll remove that shortly. It's not causing any grief just yet, but I will take that off. The beauty of doing a bead embroidery piece is you can start and add new thread pretty easily with these because you've got the foundation fabric to just stitch right through. So there's one petal completely covered with the nice gold beads around that outer edge, and I've got this nice little tight spot just here right up to where the petals actually join, and I don't think I'll get another bead in there, so I will just come through and stitch that down. Yeah, and then I want to come back up through that last bead just added so that my second petal shape is coming out of that first bead there, just like that. Okay, we'll keep going with this. So Easter plans, if people are taking holidays, going away, Easter's a big family time for me. I go away, we're going camping with my kids and a couple of friends and things, so we will be camping up on the Murray River for a few days, which will be really nice. And I know Lynda's and some of our Sydney crew have been eagerly doing beading for the Sydney Royal Easter Show. So Lynda did a bit of a preview of some of the pieces that were in there. It was fairly spectacular that was showing in the Royal Sydney Easter Show. So that's on for a few days. If you get a chance, go on to Lynda's Facebook page and have a look at the little video she did of those. So there certainly was some great looking pieces at the Sydney show. And again, I'm going to just come back through and make that little point again across that at the end here. So even though I've already added on the bead for the next part of the bead embroidery, I'm just going to come back and pop a bead in between in that peak so that it makes a nice sharp little point at the end of the flower. See, just like that. Okay, we'll keep going with this. So 1.5 done. Will take me a little while just to get these. Oh great, Lynda's popped a link up, so please take an opportunity to go and have a look at some of those Royal Easter Show extravaganzas for beading. Lynda, did you get any places with your work? I'm not sure who else may have entered who is on here, but it'd be lovely to hear and see some of your work that you've put in. Even if you don't win, it's just always lovely to enter in those competitions as well. Again, I'm just going to put that one bead in here right in that join of the petals, and then I want to come back up through the same bead again so that I can just do that next flower edge out of that same bead. Pull that a little bit tight. There we go. So that's 2 petals now done. Amazing how that, 3 ribbons for 3 pieces. Well, that's a 3 out of 3, Lynda. Well done. You can see just the definition that helps to give by putting a little bit of bead embroidery edge around that flower. Really like the way that gives depth to the crystals as well because of the layering of the beads there. So we'll just keep going with that. I think the next part of what I'd like to pop in here is some sort of, I could actually do another layer of seed beads actually. That's probably not a bad idea. Another layer, maybe in a pastel-y colour, potentially. It won't be quite as tricky and tight as what this first layer will be, But yeah, could potentially do another layer and just fill in all of the edges with seed bead embroidery, or I could do, you know, some sort of fringing that filled in as well. Some sort of stop beads, potentially with some of these pastel in the size 6s, though I think they might be a little bit big for what I've got in mind. The crystal, I really can envisage some AB crystal in here as well. My favourite, I love AB crystals, so I think that might be something I'll add into this. Keep going with my, again, I'm at the end there, so I want to make that little point of my petal. Like that. There was a Cooper Petey piece, amazing, Lynda, in, and that was that the big wall sort of looking one that I think I saw on there. And you got to meet the person. Were they a beader that you knew, or was it somebody who was new to you? I mean, we are a small industry in many ways, but amazing to see so much talent at places like that. There we go, 3 done. Come up and do the next one. Now, if I was planning this out from the very start in terms of my circle and all those sort of things, I could have been really clever and done a grid and worked out exactly where the center of this was. I didn't do any of that, but you could do that to line it up perfectly. I'm a bit organic. I think you know that about me by now, so I haven't done that, but you could do that. You could absolutely get the center point of your circle and line it up exactly where it should be. I think this is going to be slightly off center, or maybe not, who knows. But it will adjust itself as I put it onto the back of the cab as well. All smoke and mirrors, it'll all sort out. But I love this sort of little addition of gold on the pink. It looks really nice. Again, I'm just going to do that little point trick over the top there. So just 2 beads to start with. And then come back and pop that bead in the point. So what do we think? Does it look as sparkly to you on screen as it does to me? I hope so. It's a lovely, lovely piece. Sorry, that was me knocking the camera. Let me just straighten that up. I am going to pop some extra glue under those petals once I've got this piece in shape, in line. I was cautious of not adding too much glue at the start because I really didn't want to get glue into where those tiny holes were that I was stitching it down. But now that I've got it placed, absolutely I'll pop some more glue just behind to hold that in place, because I'm not going to stitch over the top of the crystals. And you know, sometimes with beading embroidery, you know, stitching over the top of the edge is how you'd hold that securely in place, but there's not enough. I don't want to lose any of the crystal for a start, but there's also not enough size or face of the piece to be able to bead over the top of it. I end up losing too much of the crystal look. So for me, gluing this will help hold it in place rather than creating a beaded edge over the top. Now I'm really letting the flower determine how much beading it's going to have over it, because I don't want to lose any of the face of the flower. And the glue that I did use there was the E6000, which I will use just to glue that down a little bit further. The last of my little point tricks there. Okay, and we're coming right down to the end now. And I reckon 3 beads will just about finish that off, and I'll go into that very first bead that I added here. And look at that. There is my beaded edge around the flower. So really happy with the definition that actually helps to make that flower stand out. What I want to try and do now is I'm going to just get rid of that little thread that's right there in the middle of it. Partly because it's really annoying me. Okay. Now, I could do, you know, some sort of fringing that's in the side here, but I actually think I am going to just do beading around and around. I think this on the back of this, if I do too much sticking out, it actually won't sit flat. Like, I still want that to be a cohesive piece when they join together. So I don't want to have too much definition on one side. So I'm going to just continue with that bead embroidery edging. But as I said, this next round should be much easier because I've already got my line in place now. And I think the colours that I'm going to use, I think I'll have to use a very pale pink now. In here. So let me grab out a pale pink, and I'm going to go for a metallic pale pink, I think. Yep. This one is the galvanized rose colour. Again, another, you know, really favourite colour of mine to use. So that's the Mayuki galvanized rose, and I'm just going to repeat that pattern. Again, I'll need one bead right in the peak there, the join. And yep. And it will just catch slightly. That's okay. So you can see now how the pink is really offsetting on the gold. Repeat that, and that will probably take me right to that edge, I feel like. And it's formed its nice little peak there by itself this time. But I think I'm still going to accentuate that. I don't know, let me just see what that's like. Yeah, I'm still going to pop another bead right in the middle there to make that peak again. Yep, I'm pretty happy with how that looks with that second layer. Thoughts? What do people think about this as a concept? Okay, so far this is not an Easter necessarily related project. One of the other things I could do would be potentially use some of the 6mm beads to bead around an egg. That's probably not a bad idea. I've got some of those foam eggs that come from Spotlight, so the polystyrene foam, and I think some of those 6mm would look really cool with the stars in them around an egg, and that's a really nice little gift that you can give to kids, particularly at Easter time. So that could be something we could do with the next part of our project, make something that's actually Easter related. So again, I'm coming up through the middle, that last bead that I just added in the bead embroidery, and flipping around and using that as the starting point then for the next round over the flowers. Just use your your thumb or the awl just to sort of make sure that that's all lined up and popped into place properly. Yep. And then I'll do that next 1, 2, 3, 4 up the side here. Now I think what'll look really nice with this is thinking about how I'm going to join the edges of these so far. I think because I've used this matte gold colour and I want to try and tie that into the front element so far, I think using something like a Lipsy or a Samos bead would work to sort of create that edge for the piece. It could be like candy beads is another one, kalos beads. A lot of those Parpuka beads come in this check matte gold color, so they will work really well as sort of the feature edge beads with this. So I'll have a bit of a think about which shape I might use. I think it might be the kalos. I'll have a play with those. They're a really nice little round 2-hole bead, and they're about 4mm by 3mm, I think is the size, and I really like using those in a range of different projects. So I think that might work well, just sort of thinking ahead for what the next part of this looks like. Tying the gold in with the pink as well. And I'll just let me refer back. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of sort of the blue and aqua colours in there as well, which potentially I could bring some of that in too. But yeah, that's going to look great idea, Angie. I love this collaboration between bead stores, me as a designer and teacher, and the bead stores themselves. Angie, Lynda, Michelle, who I work with regularly. You've all got some great ideas yourselves. So thank you for supporting this too. I really appreciate being involved with you in doing these projects throughout the year. I think my next one I'm doing in May is about 2-hole beads actually. I think I've got to go back to my calendar and have a look and see what I think I'm going to be doing in May. But the design on the flies with the support of the bead stores has been a fantastic project that I've loved working on for quite a few years now. So we definitely haven't come to the end of our creativity with either different bead types or new designs out of it as well. So thank you for doing all of that with me. Okay. And I do hope you're beading along at the same time as I am today as well, no matter where you are. And I've got Shelley who's joined us from Texas today. Thank you, Shelley, for coming along. It's your Friday evening in the States, but I hope you're getting a chance to bead along at the same time. And Jay, Juliana, maybe you've got your green flower out and you're thinking about how to utilise your green flower in your box as well, which would be really lovely to see. Maybe you might be able to do this sort of double-sided thing with yours too, depending upon what cabs you actually had in yours. I'm sure Lynda put together a great contrast cab for you as well to be able to utilise. I'll just make my little peak there again. This is actually giving me sort of, is it hibiscus flower vibes a little bit? Is it? Yeah, it's sort of, it's got that bit of a tropical sort of feel to it. Frangipani, that's what I'm thinking. Frangipani flowers. Beautiful. I just unthreaded my needle then. I'm just going to take that back thread off. So I still have to sort of re-glue down those little flower pieces. I'm not so much worried about doing that just yet. That can happen pretty much at any time, and maybe when it's ready to sort of sit rather than being so handled at the moment. If I glue it now, it really will just move around. So I'll just wait, and I will glue those little petals down, but I'll leave it just for the minute, because if I keep moving the piece around, the glue will only just break its seal anyway. I think I'll just try one first, not two. That's, I think, one of the tricks with bead embroidery is to not try and jam too many beads in to a piece. I'd rather always use one less than try and put in an extra one, because the extra bead that you put in there, they can become a bit bubbly, and I'd rather that the line of the beading was smooth and flat versus trying to, jam extra beads in. And the stiff stuff sort of just melts away in the background, and particularly when you're using, I'm using all light colors here, but even when you're using black, it just sort of melts away and you don't even see the background fabric. And you can also get some of that stiff stuff in different colors as well. I know Angie has a range of different colors in stiff stuff, which sometimes for a piece I might want to have a coloured background as well, even though the aim is to not necessarily see the background and to have that covered in beads. But I'm not too concerned about, seeing some of that white rather than jamming a bead in there, only because it will bunch up and become lumpy. There's my little peak done again. Little bunny beads, they're very cute. Very, very cute, Lynda. Okay. The Wibby Duo bead, square, yeah, that is a squarish sort of bead. I think I've got some of them in there somewhere as well. I definitely think I've got some gold ones, to be honest, but I think the Kalos is what I'll use for this outer edge. And I've also got some beautiful pastel super duo beads that I actually got from Lynda when I was up in Sydney a few weeks ago. So the pastel coloured super duos could work really well with this as well, for that outer edge. Even, dare I say, I'm not even thinking rope yet, but potentially. Okay. I'm sorry this is a bit slow going for you that are watching along, but it will be worth it, I'm sure. Again, I want to do my little peak there. Now, some of those little peaks and edges, they're just over the edge of the stiff stuff. I'm not worried about that at all. It will balance out when I place this onto the back of that cab. Now I'm going to have to pop a new thread on shortly anyway, but that's okay. So 1, 2, 3, and again I'm going to go back into that very first bead that I added in that pink round then. So there you go, there's 2 rows now. And amazing how that sort of depth just comes through from adding those beads. Oh, good morning, Jacinta. I'm glad it's relaxing watching. I'm glad to hear that. Not stressful, which is good. Okay, now let's just do, I like the idea of some sort of crystal there as well, I feel like. So I'm just going to grab out some 4 mils, and I'm sure I've got a AB 4 mil I have. And I've also got some pale pinks as well. Let me just grab those. And I wonder whether having a crystal in there somewhere. Just this idea of a, some sort of crystal like that in there. I think that's what I'll do. So I'm just going to push my needle back down and get it in the right spot. And of course the bicone is the right shape, just to sort of fit in there like that. And then I can just do some more gold over the edge there as well. So I'm just going to go right across there, come out of maybe about the 3rd bead along, pop a 4 mil in, go across to the 3rd bead. See, it's just given that little bit extra sparkle there. So again, I'm going to come out of about the 3rd bead, pop a bicone in, yep. And 1 more. And then it's new thread time. So it's given me that little bit extra sparkle on that piece. It's not going to be too obtrusive, if I think about the 2 pieces together like that. They don't sort of stick out too much, which is good. And I'll now just sort of do some more gold, I think, around that edge there as well. But let me get it, another thread. And because it is fireline, I can join that thread. It will mean that I'll sort of be dragging a little knot through the stiff stuff. So I'm actually going to bring it down so that it's sort of closer to the work, not necessarily so far away. So I've just done my little knot. I will now just melt the ends of that fireline and draw them together. Run my thumb and forefinger over that knot so that it's rounded. And now I can just continue beading along. So that knot only has to be sort of pulled through the work a couple of times because it's closer to the work rather than right near the end of where that tail thread was. That's the reason I like that method is because I can place the knot close to the beadwork. Okay, so I'm back to where I was. Now I think let's just bring that thread out of, there's that knot, you can just hear me pop that through there. Let's try some gold now as well. So 3, I reckon 4 beads maybe, 3. Just pop a little bit of gold on that edge there. Okay, like that. I'll come up the other side and do another 3. There's a knot popped through. And it's just pulling it through that stiff stuff a couple of times. 3 again. Can you see there the extra gold? And then I'll do something over that edge there as well. So I will keep going right to the edge of my piece here. I think it probably needs maybe 1 or 2. Let's just see. Just got a little bit caught there. One more bead, I think. Now that just pulled that stiff stuff away. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit tricky here. I'm actually going to use that peak bead that I created before in the pink as the anchor rather than the stiff stuff. So you can see there, I think I probably need to just add 1 more bead in there. Because I'm so close to the edge of the stiff stuff here, if I try and stitch through it, it just pops out and breaks. So instead I'm using that pink bead from the peak bead I used before just to add those beads in. So we'll have an edge at some point. It will all be okay. But yeah, I'm just using the bead as the anchor rather than the stiff stuff. So the trick will be to see whether I get 6 beads either side doing it this way. It should add up. Should she says. Because theoretically, you know, they're all the same sort of size. So we'll see. I could also then use the crystal to anchor that bead in, as those beads in as well. So if I go through the bicone like that, yeah, that works beautifully. So you can see now I've got 6 beads either side. 1, 2, 3. We'll just do 3 to start with. Yep. Again, I'll try that peak bead again. Yep, look at that. You can see there, just a little bit of crystal sparkle. using the beads that I've got there on the edges to hold it all in place. Aiming for 6 beads either sort of side of my bicone. Go through the bicone there again. Now that one's a little bit tighter, but I'm just, pushing it with my thumb to get it in place. 1, 2, 3. Sometimes there's just such a micro difference in the beads, whether it's, the coating that's on them. The seed beads are not like delicas where they're pretty much uniform all the time. Seed beads can be a little bit more temperamental than that. So you think everything's going to size and work exactly the same. It doesn't always, but sometimes you need to cull a bead out of your pile that you're working on if the shape is not quite right, or it's not exactly the right width to go into a spot that you need it to go into. So don't be frightened to just pitch out one of them that's not quite right. Looks really good, really lovely. And then I think I need to do a little bit of pink then over the top of the bicones just to sort of fill that other gap in. I could bring in a bit of blue, the aqua colour maybe. Well, that might be a bit much for me. Maybe, I think really pale aqua if I want to sort of tie it into the cab. And I can see this one's a little bit tighter, so I'm looking for my skinniest beads here. Yeah, that's okay. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay, matte bicone or matte seed bead in the aqua. Yeah, I think maybe a tiny little bit of aqua. I'll have a look and see what I've got there. Going to go through the peak bead just to finish that little edge off. And then 3 more, and that's that round done. Down into there. So there you go. I've now got all the way around that outer edge. And I think I just want to fill that little bit in that gap there. So maybe some aqua. Oh, this will be interesting. I don't know that I've got pale aqua. I've got a green that's a Toho, metallic sage. That, yeah, don't like that one. What else have I got here? What about this one? I think this is too bright. Too bright. That's the sea foam. I like the idea, but I don't think I'm going to be able to execute it. Is because I think I need a really pale metallic aqua. Yeah, no, don't like that idea. I think it's going to be pink. It's going to be pink. So I want to just fill in this last little gap that's here. And I wonder whether, actually, that's what I might pop in there. Some little 3mm. I've got some 3mm of those. I've got some, oh yeah, might have enough again. I have these very, very precious, I don't have very many, pale blue Swarovski pearls, little 3mm. Look, that's my last stash of them that I have. I'm not sure that they make them anymore, but those little blues might just sit nicely over the top. So I want to bring my needle out just over the top of that bicone. I'll see whether this works. So I'm just sort of thinking 3 of those. Just like that. What do you think about that? I like the idea, but I think I haven't got the placement quite right yet because it was a bit peaky. So let's thread that again. Try that again. I like the idea of the little bit of blue there, just on that edge. We'll see if I can get the placement right. It's about having not too much of a gap over that bicone, which is my first placement. It was a bit gappy. I'll try again. So let's go. If I bring my thread out of maybe the second of the gold bead that I put there. So if I bring the thread out of that second gold bead, then I know that they're going to be all sort of placed in exactly the same spot. So if I try 3 little blue beads and then I go through the second over here, all the way to the top like that. Yep, I think that's the go. Then, you know what I could do? I'll just add a couple more gold. Remember how I had to join in the peak bead there? So I've got a bit of a gap. So I'm just going to go through and add 2 more gold there just to fill in that gap. Yep. I want to come out of the same spot again. So I reckon that's where my knot is from before. That's okay. It's behaving. So come out of that second bead there. Pick up 3 of these very precious blue beads and go through all the way through there. I love the idea. I'm still not real happy about that gap that's just there. I think I might only need 2 and not 3, which that's going to be hard for me to live with. But I'll try it. Because, and maybe I need to put a, yeah, 2 is better. See, 2 is a better fit than 3. Yeah. I'm just going to swap needles. That needle is so bent, it's driving me mad. Yeah, 2 is a better fit. And actually, you know what I could pop right in the middle of the 2, which makes it a better anchor for something else, would be a demi-round. So I'm going to get a gold demi-round out. So if you've not seen or used demi-rounds before, number 1, they're one of my all-time favourite beads. But they're a really nice, circle spacer bead, I suppose you'd call them. But because they're a size, or the size 8 is what I use the most of, they've got a lovely big hole in them. They're really good for bead embroidery, for creating little anchor points. Yep, that's better. Look at that, the little gold. Just hold that up so you can see it. So see where I've just placed the demi round just in the middle, just there. And that sort of held that point a bit better together. Now I'll just grab a couple of the gold again. So again, I'm still going to fill in that gap that I had there and go back down to my second bead. Pick up the blue, the demi round and the blue. Go up through the second. Yep, that's the go. Pop a couple of little gold mats in there. And then I get to think about the edging. So back to the idea of sticking it and making double-sided. I will glue this piece down onto the cab. There is still a little bit of stiff stuff that's showing around that outer edge. I'm not going to really stress about that just at the moment because I will have to join this piece and the cab somehow. I'm probably going to need something to stitch into. So if it's a little bit of fabric showing, it gives me something to stitch that into as well. Not to say that I couldn't potentially add another edge, but let's just trial this for now. So the little demi round just pops beautifully into place there. Yep. All the way around again. Look at that. Really come together well. Really, really happy with this. As I said, I've still got a little bit of fabric sort of showing on some edges and not on others, and that's because I didn't put it obviously perfectly in the center. But you can see there the beads are sort of just going just at the edge there, which is sort of what I want. So I might just trim away some of that stiff stuff. Actually, that's what I'm going to do, just trim it away. And when you're trimming any of your stiff stuff like this, always make sure that you hold your scissors straight up and down so that you're not taking out any threads that might have been at the back there. And then that's going to sit beautifully on that cab. Okay, now let's think about edging. As I said, I think that potentially a kalos bead, I'm going to grab those out. Depends on how, I'm just going to get some of these nice super duos in the mats as well, so you can see them too. So these, I grabbed these super duos in the pastels from Lynda when I was up there, so you can see how they would go. That colour there, which is called Matte Lilac, actually matches particularly well. And then there's a kalos bead in the gold too. So sort of thinking something like that around the edge would work really well. But I think I'm going to have to glue it first so that I know what I'm working with. So I want it, let me think about it. I've got obviously the beads there that I can do something with. So whether the beads come up over the edge, maybe that's what I'll have to do. Actually, that's probably what I'll have to do. I want to try and build up something that's going to come up over the edge of this cab somehow. I mean, I can glue this in place so that it stays, but I want to be able to come up over. So what if I do, let's not think about edge beads just yet. What if I do another sort of round that went over the blue beads. Yep, that'll do. Because that then gives me something to build up over the sides. I'm thinking out loud as I'm doing this. So I'll go back to my center bead that's just here, and I'm going to add another peak bead there. I'm going to come down to maybe the third bead, and then I just want to pop a little bridge of beads over the top. So maybe 5, no, it's more than that, 6, and then come up through the third, all the way to that peak bead again. See how I've just sort of made that little bridge that's there? But the idea is that that comes up over the sides here. Because when I've got them coming up over that edge, then I can do some peyote or something to bring that over the edge. But that's not quite right. Just going to undo that. I wonder if I could do, how many of those blue beads have I got? Yep, I've got enough to do another pair. If I did another pair of them on top of that existing pair, that might work. I'm literally thinking out loud, how am I going to create a little edge that's going to come over the top of the cab, over the edge. So what if I go through the blue beads again? I'm going to pop one in first. Come up through there. We pick up the same demi-round blue and blue demi-round blue, but I'm just going to sort of square stitch that together. See, like that? So when I pop that into there, see how that can come up over the edge? See? I think that'll work. Okay. Now I just popped one more gold on that edge there. And then I'm going to come up to the peak. See how my brain's working, thinking, how am I going to do that little edge? Yep, that'll work. Pop one in the peak. Yeah. I don't know if you can get these pale blue beads anymore. I know I've had them for a long time. And they were a Swarovski opaque pearl or something they were called. And I had them in pale pink, grey, blue, all different colours. And this is the last of the little blue ones that I have. But look how perfect they look with this. Matching our pastel theme particularly well. So repeat that same thing again. So just popping one bead at the edge there. I'm not too worried about how loose or anything that is at the moment, because what I'm really trying to create is that little lip for me to be able to sit that cab on like that. Pop another peak bead in. Two in. Okay. You might have a peak in there already. Right. Okay, so now I'm on the last of these. So I've got, you know, these sort of little anchors made out of the blue beads that will help me build an edge over that cab. So it's a combination of, you know, bead embroidery and bead weaving techniques. Okay, so my 5 little side anchors are just there. And then if I come back to here, so now you can see where I've got the peaks that I put in, and I've got the little anchors there as well. And what that'll enable me to do is to put something now between those pieces to draw that in. And I think what it's going to be is maybe a size 8 in the gold. No, I'm going to try the Kalos beads. So the Kalos beads, they are little tiny round bead, but they have 2 holes in them. 2 holes are really handy for this sort of thing because it enables me to, you know, use the bottom hole to thread them around and then use the top hole to sort of help tighten it in place. I think that's how it's going to work. So what I'm going to do is come out of one of my little peak beads just here. And if I pick up one, I might alternate that with pink. Let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Too many. Okay, let's start again. So do pink, 1, pink, 1, pink. So 2 Kalos and 3 pink, and I'm going to go right through the blue beads there, like that. See how they can then come up over that edge? That's the idea. Don't know if I like it yet, but no, I don't like it. Too gappy. Okay. So I think I probably still need to do another row of gold into that gold bead. Yep. Again, this is definitely making me think, Lynda. Design on the fly has been a fantastic challenge this time. To think that I've used one of the components so far. Normally I'm speeding through them, so you've definitely challenged me. But it's turned out to be a beautiful piece. Okay, I'm just going to pop some golds in there, so maybe 4, 5, and I want to go through the gold. Remember I popped that single gold one either side, and then maybe if I just pop one more gold and come up through those 2 there like that, just helps to build those little bridges. So 1 gold through the single, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through the peak. Yep. So what that's doing is just giving me a little bit more depth on the sides when I want to bring that up over the edge. So just that extra row. Beautiful. Okay, some more gold. So again, these matte gold beads, they've become a firm favourite. So I'll come through the single one that I popped there earlier, pop on another single through the blue, second lot of blue beads, a single through the single, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through the peak. One. What that's also doing is just helping to sort of stiffen up that second row of blue beads that I square stitched on earlier. Okay, so I've now got a little bit more structure around that edge. It's a little bit loose, but I'm not concerned about that because what I want to do is be able to bring those edges up over far easier, and that has helped to do that. Okay, so let's think about what the next phase of this might be. Literally thinking out loud. Okay, so I've got, remember I put those demi rounds in, which are a fantastic anchor bead. I could potentially just do a net over to that demi round, but let's pop a little bit of glue on the back of this now, because I don't think I'm going to need to do any more on the beaded piece as such to make it any bigger. Anything I'm going to be adding now really is about the edge. So I've got my anchor beads just sort of popping over the edge there, the blue ones. I've got these lovely peaks of the gold there as well. And I probably want to try and bring in a little bit of pink in here at some point too. So the back's looking beautiful. Is it the back? Is it the front? Who knows? And then I want to just bring that over, and I want to hook into this demi round bead that I created that nice anchor with before. So what am I going to use? Let's see. The kalos bead might fit just there in that corner. So what if I pop two, let's do a pink and a gold and a kalos, and maybe a gold and a pink, and then come through the demi round. Yeah, so you can see there, that's just filling that little gap nicely. I'm starting to get my pink over this on the front facing as well. Okay, so I'll try that again. Pink, gold, kalos, gold, pink. And I'm going to go through the peak bead. And what happens is that the kalos just pops into that little hole just there. But you can see now I'm starting to build up my edge over the cab. Okay, so did I go through the peak bead there? Or do I need to add one? Looks like I missed one there. Oh no, that's right, in that one there. And that might be maybe a pink bead. Let's add a pink bead in there. Okay, so it's pink, gold, kalos, gold, pink through the demi round so that the kalos fits in the hole. Then pink, gold, kalos, gold, pink through the first of the peak beads there. Pink bead in there. Yep. Okay, we'll do it again. Pink, gold, kalos, gold, pink, and then up through the demi round bead. Oh, the pink one's just dropped off. And repeat that. Pink, gold, kalos, gold, pink through the first of those. The pink one in the peak there. Yep. And you can see here, because of the two holes of the kalos beads, I'll be able to just add in between those to bring that all the way over that edge. Okay, pink, gold, kalos, gold, pink through my demi round. And always with these things, you know, when it's got the beautiful back and the lovely front side, it's just nice to have that extra surprise of what do you want to look at with your piece. I think I need some more pink. But I've got my glue holding the entire piece in place. And the kalos beads and this little edge are just going to help secure that even further. So my last one in that is one pink bead right in that gap just there. Okay, beautiful. Now remember, the two holes of the kalos are going to help me with doing that next lot of joining. So what I'm going to do is bring my needle. Sometimes you have to reverse your direction as well, depending upon where you want your threads to show or not show. So I'm going to reverse now, so I'm coming out the opposite way with that kalos bead. And I want to create a nice little net or bridge over to the next one. So let's see, I might just do, if I had any more of those blue beads left, I would have used them, but there's no more. So I think I'll do gold, pink, gold, pink, gold. Go through the top hole. Let's just see whether 5 beads is enough. It's probably pulling a bit tight, maybe. Just take that out. Because I'm really trying to net those now. And the other challenge I'll have is that there's different sizes because of the way that I've pulled this together. You can see how there's a wider gap here and then a smaller gap. So I'm going to have to think about what goes in the small gap versus what goes in the wider gap. So maybe I might do 7 in the wider, like that. And then potentially I could put a bicone on the front in the smaller gap. So if we just do a gold and a bicone and a gold and pop that in there. Yep. See that? Over the edge. Okay, so we've got gold, we need 7. Pink, gold, pink, gold, one more. And I'll go through my top hole of my kalos here, like that. And then gold bicone, gold through the next kalos. It's so pretty, so pretty. It's sort of giving me, I don't know, jewel box vibes or something. It's yeah, really, really pretty. A few more gold. So this one is a bicone. Now, because these are bicones, I probably will need to go through all of those threads again, just so that it's got more than one thread running through the bicone. They're the, you know, one of the sharpest of the beads in terms of cutting thread and stuff like that. So just for sort of security, I would think about running through those again. And I need one more bicone. What do you think? So there's the back side, which is beautiful, and this lovely beaded edge that you can see, and then the front. And I think maybe just another run through of thread all the way through, but over that bicone I'm just going to do a little peak, I think, over the top of that edge. So I run my thread through again, and if I then picked up maybe gold, pink, gold, go through the gold bead all the way through, yep. See, let's just pop that little edge over the bicone there as well. Okay, so pop that over there. So gold, pink, gold, I think I did. Come all the way through. Yeah. What did I miss then? I missed going through the kalos. I can tell that because the thread is pulling that the wrong way. So the gold, the kalos there. That's better. Yeah, that's just sort of secured that a little bit more over that bicone. So just repeat that. Now, what I would do bail rope wise, I'm not going to do that today. I'll think about that, but definitely it will need, you know, something sort of substantial, because the idea of being able to flip it over and show both sides. Again, thank you, Angie. What a great suggestion to create a double-sided piece. Yeah, I'll think about what that looks like. As I said, I won't do that today because I want to go on and try and play with the Easter bunnies and some of the other things that are here. But definitely we'll need a nice you know, maybe it's a spiral rope or something that goes with this. It enables you to sort of spin the piece easily so that, you know, both sides get seen. Could be something that has like a loop sort of at one end, and you push the large piece through the loop. I don't know, I'll think about that. As I said, that won't be a today job, but definitely will need a nice sort of rope. So there you go. I've now got those bicones have all been captured really nicely. We've got this beautiful edge to the piece, and then of course this stunning, if I do say so myself. I'm very, very happy with that. Remember, I still have to pop some glue under those petals, which I will do that. I'll get my little awl and pop some glue under there, but I'm going to leave that for now. But we will look at another piece in this beautiful Easter surprise pack. Wow. Good job, Paula. Okay, put that aside. All right, let's have a look at what else is here. So as I said, I think what I want to do with some of these Easter bunnies and stars is actually make an Easter egg. So I have these polystyrene foam eggs shapes. So they're like this sort of, it's not a full-size egg, maybe it's a quail size egg. And one of the ways that I like to use these is actually use double-sided tape to do my first row of beading around. So that's a little bit of a trick for you. One of the things I like to use is very thin double-sided tape. If I could actually find it, that would help. And my thin tape, there it is there, it's called Terrifically Tacky Tape. And it's something that, it's sort of this red, very, very thin tape. But it's perfect when you want to actually hold something in place to just bead around it. So I'll just put that little row of tape just around the center of that egg there, like that. Cut off that excess piece that I just popped on there. And then when you peel off the red plastic, you're left with a very thin piece of sticky tape, double-sided tape on the piece, like that. And it's clear so you don't see it. But look how tacky that is, like that's actually sticking to my finger. So perfect for us to be able to build a little beaded ring around. So I'll just pop that over to the side for the moment. So double-sided tape is fantastic in this circumstance. And I'm going to utilise some of these little rainbow mix size 6 beads that are here. And I love a mixed bead because I don't have to think about what colour to pick up next. It's very random, which is great. So again, I'll just grab a piece of thread. I'll use some crystal fire line again, given the white base that I'm using of the egg. And I'll pop some little stars and beads and things in this. And let's make a little Easter egg for little kids. And we could stick a bunny on the top of it. So I've got some stars there as well. And what I want to do is just pick up some beads in a ring, however many I need to go around the egg. And that very first row that I'm putting down will be held in place with this double-sided tape. So there's a little tip for you. I don't know how many I'm going to need here, but I'm just randomly picking up, and then we'll test and see the size as they need to wrap around that egg. Nowhere near enough yet, but see, look at that, how it's just holding it in place as well. Which it's a really good anchor. We might pop a star in the middle. Let's pop a star in and see how that looks then too. Like that. I'm not so much worried about whether the star's in the middle yet or not, because it won't matter once it's a ring around the piece. and we'll just stick that on and see if that wraps around yet. So again, my very tacky tape holds that in place really well. You can see I'm just sort of laying the beads down over the tape. And I reckon, look at that, it's pretty much spot on. Maybe I've got one extra, take one off. Okay, so I'm just untacky that. I'm just going to tie a knot here, but you can see when you're working on a round, you know, sphere, orb, ball, whatever it might be, just having that tape there helps hold your beads in place so well and makes it really easy for you to then build up, you know, the top or bottom part of your piece. So I've got a little star on the front like that. I've got my ring of the pastel beads all the way around the outside. I'll just straighten that up. Yep. I've tied it in a knot at the back here. I'll just do another knot just so that it's really secure. And then it's a matter of then just building some beading around that ring. As I said, I think we could stick the bunny rabbit on top of this, the little bunny bead. Might just sit just on top like that, I think. Something like that. So I have 4 grandchildren and 3 Easter bunnies, Lynda, so I might have to grab another Easter bunny off you so that I can make a 4th one of these. I think I probably still need that one extra bead in there, so I'll just pop that in place in that gap. Now, ideally, I'd have an even number here so that when I'm doing some sort of netting or peyote, you know, if I was being really strict, I would count. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to keep beading over the top of these. So what I want to do is do some sort of peyote in the first instance. So let's just try a peyote stitch first, and look how beautifully that tape is just holding my beads in place for me. So I'm not sort of too stressed about them popping off or trying to hold them onto a round surface. The other beauty of using these polystyrene pieces is that you can sort of push your bead into it easily. You know, it's not like using a wooden form or you know, a harder surface form. You can just sort of push them in and they'll hold in place really well. So I'll just keep doing a little peyote all the way around. So again, I'm just randomly picking up the colours for this in the pastels. And depending upon the size of beads and, you know, how I want to reduce down to get to the sort of the conical part of the egg, I might reduce down the bead number of beads I use, or I might reduce my bead sizes. So there's sort of 2 ways of decreasing your beading that's covering your surface, either by counting the number of beads or by reducing the size of the beads that you're using. If I had exactly the same beads in, you know, 11s and 8s, I would just use the same number of beads and I'd just reduce the size of bead. But because I've got one size bead, I'm going to reduce the number of beads. I hope that makes sense. So that it's going to look like a great big smartie when it's all covered with just all the same. Now, because, you know, I did say that I didn't count this, didn't I? And wouldn't you know it, I don't have an even number. Great. So that extra bead that I added in before, I really just need to take that one out. And it was that bead there. So I'm going to just break that bead. There you go. That extra one that I popped in, I know which one it was. So that can just come off. And let's just undo a couple and go back and redo them so that I know that I'm in the right spot. There you go. As you know, with me, you get warts and all, beading on the fly. There's the one that I need to be in now. And of course, my lovely little tacky sided glue is just holding everything in place beautifully for me. So I'm not having to, you know, magically try and hold it with my thumbs and forefinger, etc. It's just holding it in place. There we go. So I've got my first row then of peyote around this little egg. Got the star in the front. Probably needs a little bit of jazzing up around the star. So now I'm just going to do another peyote row. And this is working towards the top side of the egg. Here. And I feel like that needs a little bit of gold on it. And I'm going to use some size 8 gold beads just to sort of make that little star stand out. So maybe 5 might do it. Yep, just over the top there. And I'll keep doing my peyote with the around the edge, the top edge of the egg. Very satisfying using a size 6 bead, let me tell you. They come together quickly. But this is a really fun, easy project if you wanted to make a little Easter gift for somebody. You can use these foam eggs, from Spotlight or whatever sort of craft stores that are near you. And I think they're like, I don't know, $2 or $3 a packet, and there's about 10 or 12 in a packet, so they're not overly expensive. And they work really well for these sort of craft projects. See, look at that, how that looks cute already. And again, because it's peyote, I'm just stepping up at the end of my row. So I want to do the little gold section at the bottom as well. What do I want to do now? So because I want to try and reduce so that I'm coming up over the cone of the piece, I might pop a size 8 bead now. So let's just do a gold one in between now. Again, I'm making this up as I go. I sort of know where I want this to end up, but I'm not following a pattern or anything. I'm just using the beads to guide where it is that I want to be. And the smaller bead, the size 8 bead, helps to create that dome and covering over the top of the egg. So I need some more gold. And then we can stick a little Easter bunny right on the very top, I think. Now, I think I've got some of these sort of rainbow pastels in an 8 bead. I think I have some. Let me see whether I can find those. When I pull that nice and tight, you can see that ring starting to close up over the egg. Okay. Now, if we do, let's do one more row of the colour and see what happens there. So I've started to reduce the size because I'm going to pop a gold, not an 8. And I'm just going to go through 3. Started to reduce that by using the smaller size 8 beads. And I'm going to alternate that now with the 6s. Yep. Gorgeous mix of these size 6 beads. Again, I'm just randomly picking up a colour. I'm not thinking too much about what bead goes next, which is, you know, sometimes a challenge for people who like really symmetrical, and, you know, me usually. But with these random seed bead mixes, they make you be random, which is really, really cool. Oh, that's coming together really nicely over the top of that. And then you can do some sort of, you know, this is just a couple of peyote rows that I've done on this, but then you can start to do some netting if you want to. Got my little star at the very front here. Okay, which, you know, potentially I could put another star there, couldn't I? We'll see. Okay, let's just do 3 gold this time. 3 gold and through the gold. Yep. 1 gold. And now if I just do 1 gold in between each one, we're getting these nice little stripes that are going to form on the sides here. Now you know that when I finish these videos end up on YouTube, so you will be able to see these on YouTube after today, not necessarily straight away, but I often wait until I've finished all the projects. So I'll go ahead and do some finishing work, and then I pop these on YouTube, so you get to see the finished projects if I don't do them in session. Okay, now see how that's formed a nice sort of tight circle over the top of that. I still want to try and reduce that down so that it fits over that egg. So I think I'm going to need a size 11 now, and I think I'll need a gold 11. Yep, gold 11. And I'm not getting my matte ones out, I'm going with my shiny ones here. So again, I'm reducing the bead size, not necessarily the bead count. And oh, I've got one more that, oh, I missed one there. That one needs a 8 in there. Okay. So I want to come over the top now. Do I want to add another 6? Maybe. Let's try. So if I put another 6 in there, and then maybe we do 11s in the next round. These size 6 beads are not all exactly the same size either. So it is a little bit organic in the way that this looks. But I think that the addition of that gold stripe there has helped to reduce the size. And I do have in my Etsy store, there is actually a tutorial for an Easter egg pattern, doing a very similar technique to this, and it uses some 6mm 2-hole cabs to start with. So yeah, there is definitely a pattern around for this. Let's just pop that 11 in there, the gold. And I'm just going to step all the way through there because I'm not quite sure. Ouch. I think I just threaded my needle upside down. I wonder it hurt. Okay. There we go. And step through there. And now I'm going to use an 11 bead in between. So again, it's reducing the size of the bead, not the number. Eventually though, I'm going to have to do something to bead over the top to net the top of this, which will mean I'll have to reduce the number of beads. What do you think about that? Okay, I'll pop my one there. And then I think maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 3 11s. Yep. 1 11. I'm missing a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 6 mil there. And 11. I've managed to muck up my peyote somehow here. I'm just going to cheat and go backwards. The other beauty of these size 6 beads, because they've got such lovely big holes, they're really good to do some embellishment if you wanted to do embellishment afterwards as well. I have to put some new thread on because I'm nearly out of thread. I just cheated then and went back to where I was missing a bead. Okay, let's add some new threads. So the bottom of this will also be gold underneath the star as well. Just to continue that theme. Again, I'm going to join the thread. So I like to just tie a loose knot in my new thread, get my tail thread of my work, pop the loop over the tail thread, the working thread, give them a nice clean haircut. So they've got 2 nice fresh edges to work with. Get my cigarette lighter, just melt those edges so slightly, and then just pull that tightly. Run my thumb and forefinger over that to get a really nice knot, and then I'm ready to go with my new thread. So super easy, except I think I just joined it onto the tail thread. Yeah, I did. Oh well. We can continue on the bottom half then, can't we? Yeah, I did. Join the tail thread, not the working thread. Anyway, that's okay. Let's do some more work on the other side then. So again, I'm just going to step up through one of those beads. I'll need to grab out some more of my pastel rainbow seed bead mix. And just, and the shape of the egg, obviously, the bottom half is a bit squatter than the top half of the egg. So there's not as much need to narrow up the cone. I suppose that doesn't even sound right, but that's what I mean. You don't need to build as narrow a cone shape because of the squatness of the bottom of the egg. So it means that you can get into doing a sort of peyote circular bottom easier than on the top half. Sit there, step through that one. And again, that double-sided tape is just held everything in place, and you don't see it once the beads are all in place, but it's just such a good anchor when working with these sort of shapes. Every time my thread catches on all the stuff that I have all over my desk. I'm going to do another row. Wow, 2 hours. Can't believe I've been going for 2 hours. I haven't, the first time I've even looked at the time. I've very much enjoyed this project, this Easter pack. So I'm just going to pick up a blue and then 5 and then a 6mm, only because just the placement of the beads here meant that I needed 5, yeah, maybe 4. I needed to fill that gap with a 6mm there. Yep, that's better. So you can see I've just continued that row of gold then underneath as well, like we did on the top of the star. Oh, I picked up 2 then. Good job, Paula. Okay. Now I've no idea how many rows of peyote I've actually done here. I've sort of not counted. Maybe, yeah, it looks like there's 6 on a main round before I've done the gold. So potentially I should just do one more, just so that the gold ends up in the right spot. See, if I didn't do an extra row, the gold would be here on this spot, not on this spot. And I really want that to line up. So I need to do one more row of the 6mm. So I've got an odd central band then, odd count of rows. So there'll be 7 rows for my central band. And then the gold starts from the 7th row either side. Oh, I just picked up 2 again. See, that's when there's such big holes, big beads. They're easy to pick up. And I'll be able to clean up my board very easily with my bead sorter after this. Put all those beads in and shake them and they'll all end up in the right spots. So again, I'll just pick up 4 of the gold again. Now I know I did 5 at the top on the star, but I think the point of the star is wider at the top than it is at the bottom. That's my logic. Okay, now, so now I've got, I'm in the right spot to do a row of gold. What do you think about this? Looks like a lolly. Like it's covered in Smarties or sprinkles or something. Got my row of size 8s now, just to help to reduce the size of the ring. And the 4 beads, I'm sort of treating them as one, sort of stepping through them. Need some more 8s. When I pull that nice and tight, it's really, you know, firm around that egg now. And I think I'll probably do one more row of 6s at least. I did 3 rows of gold at the top side, but again, that's the more conical end of the egg, so you do need to do a different treatment to the top half than the bottom half. But I'm trying to keep it consistent as much as possible, so having at least another row of gold I think will work. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe, yeah, no, 4. 4 right across there. Yep. And do another row of gold. And what I want to try and do is get to the edge of the base so that I can tighten it up and do some netting and close in this bottom circle. I'm going to treat the 4 as 1. And yeah, pop our little Easter bunny right on the very top of this egg. Okay. Which, when you look at the surface that way, you can see how I'm almost at that point. So draw that nice and tight. And I really want to net up now over this edge of the egg. So I'm going to come out through one of the 6 mils, pick up 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try 4. No, let's try 3. Actually, I'm going to come out through a gold because that was the last bead I added, not the 6 mil. And then if I pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and skip over 2 beads. See how I'm just creating a peak there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and skip over and add 1. And see how I'm making that little sort of nets there? I'm just hoping my counts are going to work here because I haven't counted. I'm just guessing. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to come through 2 there because I did a 4 at that point, so there's no center 1, so we'll do 2 instead of 1. 5. Come through that gold one. You know, at some point I could count, so I've got 1, 2. Oh, perfect. Perfect. 5. Like that. And I'll do a similar treatment to the top half of the egg as well, which will go back and finish the top off. And then through that one there. Now, because I've done these little nets, which look, you know, very wavy and pretty there at the moment, what I want to do is come up through the center one of those little nets. I'm going to grab a gold bead. I'm just going to get an 11 and go through the next center bead. Yep, look at that, how that works beautifully. Pick up an 11 and go through the next center bead 11 through the center bead. And what that's doing is just creating a really nice netted edge over the egg. And the little nets sort of form legs that fit there. They're a little bit lumpy, but they'll tighten themselves up. Partly because of the size of the beads we're using as well. But it's a challenge, so I use what I'm provided with. Okay. So now you can see how much I've reduced the size of the circle there. You know, before we had a much bigger circle to try and draw closed. Now it's, you know, much finer. You can see there's the bottom half of the egg is almost complete. And really, you could pop a little crystal in the bottom like that. Actually, that's what I might do. Let's do that. So, which one will I use? A little white one. Actually, I'm not going to do a crystal because I really need to set it properly. Otherwise, it's just going to pop out. Yeah, you could do it like that, but it won't sit flat. So no, I won't. Okay, let's try and just draw this a little bit closed more again. So this time I'm just going to do a net of 3 gold, and I'm going to skip over a 6mm and go through there. So 3 gold, and I'm using the size 8s there. What I'm just trying to do is just fill in this, the base of this egg. And if I go through all the gold again, actually if I just come out through the center one of the gold, get an 11, go through the center one, 11, go through the center, 11, go through the center, 11 and go through the center. And there I've closed in that circle on the base of the egg. So there it is, closed in. So now I repeat the same on the top. So I'm just going to tighten that thread up a little bit, go through a couple more times, just the 11s that I popped in last. It is slightly lumpier than what I'd like. If I was going to do these nets again, I probably could do them with smaller beads, but I wanted to keep using the lovely pastel-y colours. Now the other beauty, of course, is this foam. I can just push my needle like through the centre of the foam. Look at that, and it comes out the other side. Don't have to worry about ending the thread or anything like that. Just work it up through the foam. So now I'm going to come out through one of these other 6mm that I had here before. And I want to continue that same sort of net up over the top. So let's come out of a 6mm bead here. I'm just going to add an 11 in either side there because it's a bit gappy just there. An 11 there. And come out through that 6mm. So we'll do some nice little legs on this half of the egg as well. But again, mindful of my sort of, you know, a couple of lumpy bottom bits there. I might do a little slightly bit different. So I'm going to pick up again 5, but I'm going to go over 5 like that. Yeah, that'll work. last time I went out of the 8s, this time I'm going out of a 6mm. So I think that's sort of going to make the difference. Yeah, see the placement of that is just slightly better. So 5 through 1 like that. Don't know what my number count is going to be, but they do look lovely when they've got these little wings off the sides as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Aha, now I'm going to have a challenge because my number is not even like it was at the bottom. But I'll think about that. 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to have to come out of one of these ones here. And one more. There we go. So there's my little wings all the way around. Again, come up through the net and come out of the center bead on the net. And join those with some 11s. You can see there. Oh, that's cute. That looks really cute. So again, I'm just drawing that really tight over the top of that egg there. Go through that again. So again, this is, you know, it's a little bit organic, but I think it looks really cute as an Easter egg. And keep pulling that through so it's nice and firm. Then I want to find my bunny that's going to sit on the top just like that. So I'll just do a small sort of cap like what I did on the bottom piece. A couple of gold beads in there. So we'll just do 3 over there. And 3. So my bunny's got a little bit of gold grass to sit in. I'm going to just run my needle all the way through the gold beads at the top. And let's get our little rabbit who's got a hole, nice hole either side. Just going to pick up a size 11. No, I need a bigger bead than that. An 8 bead and the bunny, and then another 8 bead, and then sit that on the top of my Easter egg like that. And I think I'm going to use the 6mm there to hold that in. Yep. And pick up another 8. Go through that hole again, just so that it forms that nice little sort of net either side. Another 8, and then go through that 6mm there. So there's my rabbit sitting on top of the egg. Yeah, absolutely. I would do a net with a mix of 8s. I mean, as I said, if I had all exactly the same beads in an 8, I would have used those more so than the 6s. I know it's slightly lumpy, but you know, it's organic, it's okay. You can sort of push them in a little bit as well. But there's my little bunny sitting on top of an Easter egg, which is just a really cool little project. And I'm just going to finish off that thread there. I will go through and tighten that, but look how cute he looks sitting on top of that. Okay, so let me just flip over my camera here. Wow, what a session. Thanks, Lynda. Hour and 20 minutes. Normally I would get done more than, well, I do probably some more simple things than what I've done today, but two really fun projects. I mean, this is stunning. This idea, and thank you, Angie, so much for the idea of doing the double-sided. Look at this cab. You know, it's got a beautiful edge. It's got the lovely crystal flower on it. Really happy with that. And of course, my little Easter egg with a bunny on top of it as well, which is another really cool project. But both of these were great fun to work with, and I'll just show you another close-up of this one. I'll really have to think about what sort of rope feature I want to do with this because of how beautiful this piece is, Lynda. So happy with that. The lovely edge, bicones in there, some kalos beads, the check matte gold, gorgeous. And then of course our bunny and Easter egg combo as well. So really beautiful pieces. Lynda's given me some lovely crystals and things to play with as well. I won't get to those today, but I promise you I will utilize them and make them up into, I really think there's some beautiful drop earrings to come out of all of these, particularly with the pair at the bottom as the drop. I've got some lovely white to include. I could actually make some really long dangly crystal earrings with those. So I'm going to have fun with them. I've got, of course, a couple more bunnies here to utilise as well. And I think for my little granddaughters, Ruby and Ivy, they can both get a little bunny Easter egg for Easter as well. So really great projects to work with. Thanks again, everybody, for coming along today. It's been a fun session. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as what I've enjoyed playing with it. And look out for the finished products of these at the On a String YouTube store shortly. And again, have a great Easter break. And I look forward to seeing you all again in May for my next project, which I think is on the 12th of May. So I'll see you all. No, not the 12th. That's not right because that's a Monday. So it might be the 10th. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.